water treatment, and we do others. It's 360, and only where we need liability on the inside coverage. It's not to watch employees' areas or nothing like that. We're not doing any of that. It's to cover us as a town to make sure that if we get sued, we have everything in place to cover us. So all the bids came in. I'm just getting ready to present it to her to figure out what is the best way to proceed forward with this. Because overall, I think it's under 120,000, I think. I was just doing a quick math in my head, so it's maybe wrong. But the biggest cost for the town hall is the server. We're gonna have to buy a server that will occupy and hold the video data that's gonna be required by us or by state law or however we figure out we need to have it held for so long. And then the relay out at the concession stand, because they don't have a direct line out there for our server system. But overall, the system, I've used it in Gulf Shores. It is a phenomenal system. We keep the data there for, I think it's 10 days. And if we have an incident, we get it, save it, and we've got it protected. But as we build for the future, we're gonna probably need security systems for us to protect us.
I know this is the only thing you have on here, but I feel like you're almost doing yourself a disservice because you're not talking about the things you've recently done to help with the police department and the changes that you've made. You have new trustees that don't know about what the cameras, the guns, the vehicles, and all those things that you've done that are.
That's because I just presented what I'm getting ready to do, not what I'm.
You didn't have anything on here.
Oh, well, okay. With the cars, when I got here, we had vehicles that, I just got rid of a 2011, a 2012, and a 16 that was, in shambles.
You got 3 more we still need to auction.
Then those are those 3, but the other 2 I got rid of last year was a 2011 and 2012 as well. And instead of buying new vehicles, I go through Kansas Highway Patrol where I buy a used vehicle that is already built. It's got lights, sirens, it's got almost everything in it, and they sell them at 49,500 miles. So, and they are really in great shape. I've been buying from them since about 2008. And so these cars will last. And so if I buy them for 32, it costs me right around 12 to outfit. So I'm in a vehicle for 44,000. If I go out and there was a proposal that about a new vehicle is 62,000, and then it costs me 20 to 22,000 to outfit that. So I'm at 84,000 to outfit a brand new car. So it saves me 40,000 buying a used vehicle, which we average putting on a vehicle 6,000 miles a year. We don't put a lot of mileage on because our town's 2 miles this way, 2 miles this way. So the vehicle program and the new cars out there, it's all marked up. If you want to go out and look at the new markings, I like them. Everybody else has been really positive about how they look now. So that's the vehicle program. The other one was the video systems we had to get. That was by law. Senate Bill 217 required us to have body-worn cameras, and we have to have them on all the time. So we had to research different systems that would benefit us. And we went with utility, but we almost didn't because they were a service agreement, and service agreements go under operational funds. We're the only department in North America that has a sales agreement with the company, so we could buy them under capital improvement instead. So we did that. There's the gun program. All of our officers are gonna have all the same platforms now. Same platform as the county. So when we go assist them or they come assist us, we're on the same weapons platforms. We've updated all of our vests. We're updating all of our, we're on Spillman now, and we're getting it fixed. I found out today it's gonna be fixed, and it's not gonna be as expensive now. We're gonna save money. But, so Spillman's in, all of our report writing stuff is done and working. We're transitioning March was a very busy month for us between getting new vehicles, new computers, new serverware, new cameras, new everything, and then trying to implement it all in 3 weeks was a nightmare, but they are getting it and they are using everything right now. So we are up to date with everything.
Well, I guess I have a question. Yeah, we get new vehicles with low mileage, but most of the time wear and tear on police vehicles is idling time. So, and these cars idle all the time, and idling actually does more damage
Right, with Kansas Highway Patrol, they cannot resale a vehicle that has had major recalls, an accident, engine work, transmission work. They cannot resell it to the other, they only sell to agencies. They don't sell it to the public. And they cannot sell a vehicle unless it passes their inspection. And if you ever get a chance to go to their facility, it is almost like going into a hospital. Every vehicle has its own little area that they just work on. So they will not sell me a car that's in bad shape. It's against their policy. And like I said, I've been buying from them since 2008. And when I was in Fairview, when I retired, I had a Crown Victoria we bought from them with 49,000 miles on it. When I turned it in, it had 120. And we still kept it. Somebody else got it and was still driving it like 3 or 4 years later. The vehicles last. They take very good care of them. And when we get them, they are in top-notch form.
Well, it sounds like you're doing two things that's great. You're saving money,
Yes.
so that goes up at the top of the list for me. But it sounds like the research behind these vehicles and the fact that our vehicles that you've replaced were so old, to me, it's like a win-win. And so I personally appreciate the work that you put behind it to try to save money for the town. So I think it's great.
Thank you. Katie has actually supported it because I guess, what was it, 2020 or 2021, where they had in-vehicle repairs like $40,000 or $50,000 in vehicle repairs?
Oh, yeah, 50,000, yeah, every time they turned around, there was another $8,000 bill or something.
So last year's, in 2023's budget, I think it was a $30,000 budget for repairs. We've only earmarked 15 this year. And that's because I still have 4 really old vehicles, but they're basically up in his shop, and we only go up and get them when we need them. But other than that, we try not to touch that vehicle repair because we want to show that this, and I do have a new fleet manager, Officer Gagos is doing the fleet management. He checks every vehicle monthly to make sure that the oil's right, the fluids are right, everything's right, and he has to get a report from each officer. If there's something wrong, they have to get it through him, and so we can get it fixed right away. And right now, I think everything's been running so good. He's done a great job since I gave it to him in December. So he's doing a great job with it.
Any other questions? Public Works.
I guess it's my turn. I don't have a copy of my list, so I'm going to cheat off Kathy. It's the same way I got through high school. So, but whatever. You got to sit by the smart kid. You know what I mean? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I just kind of went through and put together a list of the 2024 capital projects that were approved with the budget this year and a brief status. I mean, high level, really to go through. On the water fund, I guess it could be a little bit confusing. I was looking, water meter replacement is different from water relocation. So we're doing a 5-year process right now, replacing all the water meters in town. They're starting to wear out. They've been in for about 10, 15 years. So we'll do 5 years. We're trying to do 250 water meters a year. 5 years, we should get through the system. We'll take 5 off. And then the water relocation, we had probably 33 different buildings where the water meters were actually under the house in the basement. They didn't allow us access. Those meters stopped reading, the radio batteries wore out, so we've been replacing those over the course of the last 4 years. There was 33, this will be our last year, and we're almost done with that today. You'll see on here there's an office space line item in the water fund. With everything going digital in our department, what we're really struggling for is electronic workstations. So we have more employees, which luckily we're fully staffed, than we do have workstations to complete. Locates, any of the iWorks work orders are all going digital. Everything's coming out. We're trying to go paperless. Well, that requires a computer. So we're really need some more seats for butts in Public Works moving forward is probably one of our biggest challenges. Current projects, we have the A basin down, our number 1 basin at the wastewater treatment facility. We're replacing diffusers. Mixers should go in Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be doing programming and start up in the next couple weeks and get that back online. The majority of my time has been trying to schedule street projects. It looks like we will have crack seal starting in May. We're doing the drain pans up on Tamarack, which is Clover, Mesquite, and Cholla. Those should be done here in the next month. And then we're going to do full reconstruction of Tamarack as well as a 2-inch overlay on Los Pinos. So we're trying to get all those chips put together. Some of these, when you look in here where it's still to be determined, a lot of these are one-time expenditures. So utility bed for a work truck, I got a utility bed in the street fund. Those are capital items because they cost more than $5,000. So we're classifying that as an asset, and that's why they're being purchased out of those funds. What else? The sewer tap INI, we do have 25 flow meters deployed throughout town, upstream and downstream of all the irrigation ditches. So we're going to run those. We put them in April. We'll run them all the way through October. And so we can really see where we're getting that inflow and infiltration for the sewer flows we're seeing seasonally at the wastewater plant. So that should be the last piece of the puzzle we need for data. And hopefully we can put together a good lining project or some rehab work here in the next 2 years with some of the INI funds we've been collecting in the past. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you had any.
So Jeremy, the list that you provided in the packet for us of all the items, and it says undetermined, that means that you're shopping for them or you'll shop for
Yeah.
them when you need them?
We're either trying to gather quotes right now or we haven't scheduled them yet. So you see there's some sidewalks and landscaping and a wastewater plant. We kind of punted on that. So we had our TKF, the nutrient removal contractor, coming in with equipment, cranes, mixers. We're like, we're not going to put new sidewalks in and have these guys come beat them up. So we pushed that schedule back, and then anything else that's the schedule to be determined is, one, we just either haven't got to it yet, or two, we're either shopping or trying to get that fit in the calendar. Really from May through October is super busy in Public Works. That's when we do the majority of all our large projects, just because of construction season. So that's when we have our best weather. So we really try and line those things up and see what we can hopefully get accomplished in October, let the dust settle, and hopefully we cross all this stuff off.
So are those items that you've got listed, are they prioritized on your list? So, you know, you're gonna be nailing these first, because what I'm wondering is, when you did your budget for 2024, but you didn't know the cost of these things, are you going to fund up to the amount that you've been budgeted, or because of the fact that these are undetermined, there's gonna be costs where you're gonna have to say, well, we're not gonna hit that this year because, you know, we've met our budget, or?
Yeah, so if there's a cost overrun on any one of these items that comes through, that'll come to you. So for any additional expenditures over the budgeted amount, that's got to be board approved as well. So if we can accomplish them for the amount that's budgeted in the 2024 budget, we'll move forward. And a lot of these projects you'll see, like our street projects, is seasonal. So a lot of this stuff we'll do, we want to get like our crack seal, our paving, a lot of the concrete work and the dirt work and stuff done earlier in the season. And then some of this other stuff that are equipment purchases and things, we can kind of push those back to the fall. So we're not spreading ourselves too thin, so to speak. So that's kind of how we go through when we start scheduling. Just with all the street projects, it's important to do them in order. You don't want to be cutting up a new road. You want your crack seal done before you do your striping. You know, we'd look pretty silly if we went and did all of our line striping in April and came back and had guys smear black tar all over it. You know, so we just got to try and get. And then you're working with contractors, so you're trying to line up different contractors to do different subs. So that's sort of how we prioritize a lot of those portions as well too.
So I'm kind of curious why, and maybe you guys created this for 2024, but in the budget, under the water fund, there's the CIP water, that whole,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there was no spending for these in 2021, 22, 23, or were funds moved like from the capital improvements?
No, they're there. So what you're seeing is an itemized list. They're in there.
Okay,
I mean, I can show you the amounts.
yeah, no, it's right here, down here at the bottom, I was curious about. So
So
it's itemized
here's the
over here.
CIP for 2021, for 2022, for 2023, estimated for 2023. And the only, don't want everything itemized for every year, it would be kind of a nightmare.
Well, and this is standard then across those years, is that what you're saying?
No, this is only for 2024.
Okay, I think that's where the confusion.
And that's the
comes.
total. I think she's looking at the total at the bottom.
Great.
Any other questions for Jeremy? Okay, moving on to the senior center.
You know, Carrie's doing an awesome job, basically providing those, programs, how to be happy. So she explained that to me, and she's underlines it, how to stubbornly refuse to make yourself miserable about anything, yes, anything. So anyway, she's having some of these programs, and we meet once a month, and so she explained a lot of these programs to me, but if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
I was super pleased to read her report. I think it's exceptional what she's shown up and what she's
She's
doing.
doing a great job.
Also, you know, you should tell her to take pictures of some of these events and kind of bring them and share them where we could talk about them. I mean, I feel like the town needs to talk about more of the positive things also that are going on, just to, you know, kind of balance it out a little bit. But kudos to her.
Let's see. Next up on our list, guess mine was up first. Just a couple of things that we didn't talk about. One of them was the Dove Ranch drainage, and Katie and I talked about this one day too. I mean, I know it's, according to our engineers, the drainage itself isn't probably a high priority at this point, but also look at it, like, the landowner down below is willing to work with the town now, and he wasn't, we had previous landowners that weren't willing to work with us. It's kind of my thoughts, we should try and get that secured at this point, so we can get our easement or whatever we need to do to work with him to go ahead and get that, at least that part of it done, so when we are ready to move on that, we can, the town will be ready.
So that will require going through the county planning process to subdivide that property if you just decide to purchase it. In our engineering estimates, based on what the property owner would want if it was an easement, was far more expensive than if we just purchased the property that became the property that the town owned. Now, keep in mind that he hasn't sold us any land yet, so things may have changed in the last couple of years. But we do now have a communication relationship right now, so we are communicating, but it kind of went silent waiting for the stormwater feasibility report to be done, so that's,
So that's something I would like to move forward with. I think that's kind of, the availability's there now, and it hasn't been in the past, and I think we ought to get on that opportunity while it's there. The other one, I'd like to kind of review our planning and land use process to the point of how we can make it simpler and easier so that we can make housing more affordable. Just from our standpoint, I mean, we seem to be following a Durango and La Plata County model, and they're cumbersome. I mean, they're really hard to work with, and it takes a long time to get through the process, and it's very expensive.
If I may, the Regional Housing Alliance is trying to work together between the county, Durango, Ignacio, and Bayfield to come up with some plans, just kind of along that same vein, to make it easier across the board through the entire county to build more
That would
affordable
be great.
houses.
Yeah.
I know that's something like on our radar to do, just as a, you know.
As somebody who works in it, I mean, honestly,
But I agree with you, I think it's
in
a
2006, I had anywhere between 25 and 30 projects constantly going through my filing cabinets in one phase or another. I haven't done 5 in the last 3 years. so expensive and so cumbersome that, and honestly, it really feels as though the county is trying to do everything they can to stop any growth in this county. And I don't want us to be in that spot. I mean, we need to help people out. This is what we want. We want affordable housing, that's how we get there.
I agree.
And that's a big step towards getting there. Whatever we need to do for planning and get there, I would like to kind of start looking at that.
So is there something specific that you would like to take a look at? We do have a land use code that's online. Is that the place to start, or?
Probably, I mean, I've worked some in Montezuma County, and their processes are pretty simple. And I'm even doing one in Mancos right now. I'm doing a boundary adjustment in Mancos, and it's like, that's all you need? I mean, that, like, go talk to their planner, I just forgot his name now. But I was talking to him, and I'm like, really, that's all you need on this plat? It's like, huh?
Jason?
I thought it was Jason, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't say anything. Yes. But it just, I did another job over in Montezuma County too for a guy that was doing a similar project, and he talked to me at the beginning of it. We thought he was gonna have to go through the whole process like La Plata County, and he's like, can you do this for me, blah, 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 and I'm like, yeah. And then I didn't hear from the guy for like about 3, 4, 5 weeks, and I called him up, I'm like, what's going on? He goes, it's really weird. He goes, they basically told me I just go in there with my plan and tell them what I wanna do, and it doesn't cost me any money up front until I get there, and then once I get a preliminary approval, that's when I have to go pay for stuff. And I'm like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. Like, we're putting all the cost up in the beginning, and people are having to put up a lot of money, and they don't even know if they're gonna get a yay or a nay from the board, or whatever board. I'm not picking on that. But it's the same in the county, and it's like, why are we making people spend so much money up front when they don't even know if they're gonna get approved or not? I mean, we're stopping people from doing things that could be beneficial and promote the affordable housing. So I mean, those are just some of the things. I could go through the whole list. I mean, I could come up with things, but I just thought it'd be something that we could look at, and I don't know, and I didn't know if the rest of the board was interested or not, but that's kind of where I was at with that, and what was driving it.
So I've had only one boundary adjustment request that I'm aware of. I don't know if you've had a boundary adjustment request. And, it was fairly simple. I don't even think it went to the board. I think it was an administrative approval. And as I remember, it was like $100, so I'm not too sure.
Okay, that's great. No,
So maybe if there is some comparison of where the barriers are, I understand in a lot of counties, I've gotten, I finally have gotten more information on what's going on there. Durango is just a completely different land use code. Obviously, Nicole worked with that, but, I think if we had some specifics that we knew where to start, I think that would be helpful.
I didn't have any, I don't have any specifics at this point. I didn't look at them. I just know what I've seen in the past, most Durango and La Plata County, and I know we follow a lot of their same procedures, and I'm like, man, we gotta get away from this, because it's not helpful.
Yeah, I'm not aware of those same procedures.
Well, I think we haven't changed our code too much since I've been here, we did the comp plan. But, I do see a lot of our code kind of was written, like, I feel like whoever wrote it kind of took it from places like Durango, because it's very similar to me than what I was using in Durango.
Right.
But I would say, like, even, you'll see, we have an agriculture zone meeting. I'm getting a lot of people wanting to come work with Bayfield, because we make it easy to work with. And they don't want to be in the county. And I get a lot of compliments about developers that work in Durango that would rather work here under Bayfield's code. So I think specifics would really help me out, because I'm hearing opposite from the developers I talk to.
No, that's fine. I mean,
Yeah. They want to work with me.
I just know that that's a better and cheaper way to get affordable housing in, and a better process, because it sure seems like the county,
Well, yeah.
it's definitely not
Can't
there.
be compared to the county.
Well, I saying that they're all for affordable housing too, and quite frankly, I think they're anti-development, but that's,
We could have a whole conversation about that.
well, I can sit here for a while if you want.
But yeah, I mean, if there's specifics on things, you know, the state's gonna push some requirements on us coming up, that we're gonna have to do some code changes, especially for affordable housing in terms of, they want us, what they're calling fast tracking. And we're trying to figure out what that looks like, but there's gonna be certain processes that they're gonna want us to get done at a staff level, without hearings, without neighbors' comments. That's what the state's pushing, and so we're gonna be, you know, having to pivot on our code some of that too. But if there's, I mean, if there's ever specifics of, you know, concerns, I'm happy to
Okay.
review that, and ultimately, you all make the final decision on the code, and, you know, if I need to bring things to you, I
Right.
can.
And then I had one thing on the agenda, and I don't understand this, and this didn't used to be that way, but, and I never got a clear answer, but during the public comment period, when we have our regular meetings, why aren't we allowed to talk to the public? Why can't we answer them right then and there? People are really frustrated with that. Like, they come here and they have something that they want to say to the board, they come here and they want an answer. And I get it, we can't answer every question, we can't, there's some things we just don't know. But when they come here, they want an answer that night, or as close to an answer as they can get, and we're not even allowed to say anything to them, and I don't
I'm
understand
not
that.
aware that you're not allowed to say anything. I mean, you're the presiding officer. If that's your decision, you have our attorney, town attorney is here, during every meeting, and if there's something you would, and I think we've tried to respond when we can answer the question, but there's some questions that are asked that we can't answer. And keep in mind that a lot of people can come to schedule either with us or just come to town hall and ask the question, and we may be able to give them the answer when they come. So that's your decision. In fact, this little book that I printed out for everybody, you know, it talks about meetings and how you wanna do it, and it's your call.
Okay.
A couple of points on that, Mayor. Again, you have an agenda, and you generally have to follow that agenda with regards to any decisions that may be made. To the extent that people come before you and want answers to the particular questions that may involve either development or regulations and so forth, generally you have to act in unison as a board. You have to be able to have discussion and follow procedure and so forth. And so that's why often you're taking under advisement things that people say, and you may choose to put a particular issue that someone raises on a future agenda so that other people will know that you're going to be talking about that subject, and then they can come comment perhaps in an opposite way. So yeah, people come before you. I have experienced staff may come up with a quick answer on something that's fairly easy. Staff also suggests that they're available on a day that may follow the meeting. But again, I would caution the Board of Trustees from acting unilaterally and trying to answer questions when in fact the board should be acting as one unit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Hart?
Yeah, these are not by any means inclusive or in any order. Create and assign clear and specific goals and policies for the town manager to follow that align with our vision and priorities. I think Jean's referenced that from time to time, that we have not given her goals in the past. And priorities, not priorities, but policies. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but some cohesiveness that when we're talking
talking with the citizens that we know clearly from that piece of paper that we're all on the same page. Nothing more than that.
And I think of all the comments, I love that one the most, because just working on the leadership development and the strategic, looking at how the comp plan is gonna be the strategic plan, the capital improvement plan. The board probably needs to have some visioning work sessions and schedule those, and basically, we have a great facilitator right now, doing a great job kind of getting us to there. But our strategic plan is gonna be kind of milky if we don't really have, it's gonna come to the board for your consideration. But you should be driving that strategic plan, and our strategic plan should fall under it, and how we actually approach that. So, if you would like to schedule that, that would require a facilitator to kind of get us to that point. I think that even though summer's busy, you wanna kind of do that before you get into budget season, so.
Right.
I think that's a good idea.
And I think I'd be happy, our current facilitator has just been great to work with. It's up to you if you'd like to have her consider that. It may take a couple sessions. We've got 4 sessions plus 6 individual sections with each of the leadership team. We're at $25,000, but it's been well worth it. I don't know about this group here or Nicole, but it's been well worth it, so.
The peanut gallery.
I passed my individual counseling the other day.
You passed.
She gave me an A, so I was all right.
That's not what she told me.
Told you.
So how do we
Single.
talk about that? Do we just make a decision now?
Much later, I'll be in single.
Well, what I would suggest is if I do get some quotes, either I go out for another RFP, which I did before, or just get some quotes from our current facilitator, may be the way to go, because she's already developing, us little kids over here, so now she's gonna, work with you, and she may see that maybe our leadership team isn't going the direction the board wants to go.
Okay. Increased public participation in meetings, town meetings, information. Just, I know this is common to all boards, increasing participation, but I would like to see that as part of our policies and goals. Particularly, maybe not where we're responding in that public hearing session, but maybe we're doing the education that we got doing that comprehensive plan was amazing. And I would really like to see like the same lineup of speakers become a town informational series. And we do it at the library or somebody else came up with a really good idea where to do it. Senior center? No, there's another comment that you made, but, like that survey about the electric car charger, what a simple thing, but we got responses
Oh,
from
yeah.
it. So, maybe something off the agenda every week that gets a survey or something, and I know that all takes time, but looking at looking at your staff to allow some of that extra social media posting, maybe some, doing those info sessions or town meetings or whatever you call them. So not just specifically to the meetings, but more involved in getting feedback and initiating and keeping that conversation going. Using citizen task force wherever we can and within legal guidelines. I just happened to look on the website for URA. They have a citizen group for everything. Everything. I think it's great, and I would like to see us use those resources more, and especially budget things, anything we can do. I know we have legal guidelines within it. Considering statutory to home rule municipality, when I look at those CML statistics, there's like 200 that are home rule and 20 that are statutory, and I always always wonder like, why? So, I've looked at a little bit of it, but I know when I first got on the board, we were mentioning it too. So, I don't know how we get that into the flow of everything else we have to get done, but I think it's really good that we at least look at that and consider it, or look at the option. Every year that I've gone to CML, I've sat next to somebody that said, oh, you have to go to home rule. Every year, and so it's just really sparked my, maybe there's a, I don't really know what it does.
So what you first have to do is, you have an election and you, elect, you have to have an ordinance and a resolution, basically to go to the ballot to elect a charter commission. That's first.
Okay.
And then the charter commission basically drafts your home rule charter. And then the home rule charter then goes back to the electorate for their decision. It costs you money. You do have to have legal support to put your home rule charter together. But it's a charter commission that's, could be 9 members, could be 7 members, or whatever else. Could we get 2 to sign up for the planning commission would be a good start.
Double duties.
Yeah.
Especially you two.
Find your replacements.
That's right.
So,
Sorry, I didn't even give notice.
so before you have that, vote, or before you create the charter committee, you have to have buy-in from the community if you're gonna get that passed. So there has to be some advantages.
Yeah, and I brought those to you, gosh, it's been a year ago.
And it's been a long time.
And then we started talking about lodging tax and, I have to, it comes to a point where eventually I have to take one thing off the plate
Right.
and put another thing back on.
Right.
Which is kind of what happened with that ranch thing, is that other priorities became more important.
So, just one last, we can go off the priorities, of course, too. Just something for the registered businesses in town to include them in the website. Can we
It's
do that?
been my goal to get the registered business on our website. We're gonna deal with the ADA compatibility probably
Gotcha.
for a while.
Gotcha.
And we're still trying to get rid of some of the old posts that sometimes I can see them on the website and then I log in and I can't find them, so,
That's also a good thing for the chamber.
yeah.
Once we get,
It
the chamber
is.
would really have a great business directory,
Mhm.
hopefully.
The chamber just recently redid their website as well, so there's a possibility that could happen. I'm on the board.
But they're only chamber members and not necessarily
Yeah,
right.
all town
Right,
residents.
the registered.
Yeah.
I would like to have, that's the one thing I would really like to see is a restroom that little tiny. And it doesn't have to be, I know we talked about putting in a new place where we have to run new water and sewer, but there's already water and sewer there, it's just not as convenient.
Where's Hunter's?
Right next to,
The water meter that's over there is capped on North Street. So that was decommissioned years back. So it's been dug up and capped on North Street. So you'd have to run new potable water line all the way down. That's what that expense was before. So, but when you go in there by the old kiosk, there is a water meter there with a yoke, but it's not operational anymore.
okay, well,
So instead of repairing it, I'm not sure when it was, they opted to abandon it.
Yeah, and we did get quotes on that, and that's where we would shockingly said, maybe
yeah,
not.
no, I know it's really high, it's just that, I'm over there frequently, and there's so many people that use that,
Yeah.
and it's just, where is it?
Little Pine Park?
Little.
On one side.
Right across from Outdoorsy.
It's like a granite bench or something,
Oh.
and it's a memorial to hunters. Okay.
We have to have it a little weird.
Okay, and then I have to put in reduce elective budget expenses by 200,000, just to throw out a little challenge. Where can we cut, if at all, anywhere?
And so what is the definition of elected?
Let's use one for the board. Having our Christmas dinner at Mill Street. maybe we wanna do a barbecue and potluck at the senior center. I don't know. Creative
cooking?
ideas. I'll cook. Sure, I'll cook. I'd love to cook for everybody, yeah. I cook too.
I would like to understand why, you feel that that's necessary, and where in the budget you felt we could cut that 200,000. So I'd like to know why first you feel that that's necessary, because I just don't understand.
Because we have a trend of, $750 reduction in our reserves. If I read the budget right, which I got a new lesson, so I could be totally off, for the last 2 years. We're on trends. I know that we have post-COVID expenses, post-COVID, prices, but we're also on a trend of increased expenses. And I don't know if all of those, for example, cell phones. Does every employee need a cell phone allowance? Should we be asking the citizens to pay for all those allowances? And a perfect example is, Carrie at the senior center one day, and Carrie, I love Carrie, you know wrong, okay? But at the senior center one day, she said, our phones are down, and I had to use somebody else's phone to call in the lunch order for that day. Well, she gets a phone allowance, right?
That's correct.
A cell phone allowance. So when I heard that, it was like, why are we paying her a cell phone allowance? And she went to somebody, she didn't use her cell phone in that instance when it was really needed, and she had to go to somebody else. So do we need to pay for every cell phone?
I think it's more reasonable to go into every department and say, what really is quote unquote frivolous here? I think cell phones for the employees is kind of like an employee benefit. It's really pennies on the dollar, to have that access. And to be able to reach people when you need them for one reason or another. We could, I mean, my goodness, they had a stabbing in town, you know, so is everybody able to get that information in a timely manner? So I don't know, I think, but to your point, I agree that reviewing the budget and finding where there may be waste, and cutting that waste, that's always good budgeting practice.
Exactly.
So, but I was curious why you landed on 200,000, and I just didn't understand it.
Oh.
So it was just kind of throwing it out there, and I was like, what are we doing? What does this mean?
But
Can I
I
just-
think that on the Carrie thing, for some reason, she used somebody else's cell phone. Somebody should have said something to me,
Right.
because not only does she have a personal cell phone, she also has an allowance, cell phone.
Which means she
And
should
so
be using
doesn't,
it.
so that
That's
doesn't-
what I'm saying
Yeah.
about the allowance.
So,
that
I was,
doesn't make any sense.
I was gonna
Right.
say, I was gonna say that I don't think that, I think that there is merit in reviewing who's using it and whether or not it's successfully being used. And I don't think that there's a,
It's
no,
just an example.
No, but I think there's some merit in actually like reviewing it and making sure that each and every person that has one really truly needs it for work. I work at a bank and we have the same cell phone type policy where you get $50 or you can get your own. And there are some people that really need it in our organization, and some people it's like, nah,
Right.
they don't need a cell
That's
phone.
everywhere.
And if that saves us a few bucks, yeah, but you're not taking it away from the police department because they need it, you know what I mean?
Right,
And,
obviously.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't think that there's an issue with, we're just reviewing who has them and whether or not it's
So just
successful.
looking at all those small things, and 200,000 is not really a lot of money.
Well, no, I
Let's
just
just
didn't
challenge ourselves to
understand,
look
yeah.
at all those little teeny tiny
The
places.
cell phone and uniform allowance doesn't even get to $25,000.
Oh, I know. I looked at it, when I picked that number, it's like,
I also
That's a
wanna,
big
I
number.
also wanna make a comment too, because there is a thing where, you know, you wanna meet budgets, you wanna reduce spending as much as you possibly can, but you also have to have that employee satisfaction as well. Taking away a one lovely dinner a year from staff, to me, is not the way to go about it. Having employees have.
Just an example,
No, no,
not saying.
I know, I'm just, we have staff here and I don't want them to go back and be like, "Man, they were talking about taking our Christmas dinner away, and that's all we get." You know what I mean? I don't think that that's the important thing to do. It's, we have to have that
They even took the roast beast.
employee appreciation, sorry,
So-
employee appreciation during the holidays.
Okay, it was just something that came to my head that didn't really
Yeah.
point a finger anywhere but us. And I wasn't talking about
No, I know, but
employees, I was talking about.
I would just be in this kind of stuff, if we're thinking about what employees get or what they don't get and how it is for them, we need to consider how it affects them on their day-to-day life. I mean, just like we just added, where into the budget where we can purchase guns for our police department, we've been short-staffed. That's a huge expense to require a brand new employee to have, and not all of them can afford to do that, so you end up having less people go into that industry because you have that. And so that's just kind of what I was thinking, is that in your example, there's other ways that you can look at it as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
that we need to take into consideration how it affects them.
There's all kinds of choices.
I have a question on these cell phones. So, do our employees get a separate business cell phone that they use for business purposes, or do they get an allowance to use their own personal cell phone?
So, the current policy is that they have to be eligible, there has to be a need for that employee to have either an allowance or a stipend. So the thing is that like in public works, they need to be available wherever they're at. There's a lot of people that contact me via cell phone, there's people that contact Nicole via cell phone. So the thing is, if they're an eligible person that has a cell phone, the police department, the officers don't have a choice. We pay for a special, law enforcement system that pays for their cell phone.
But if you wanna take that away, I don't mind, then we'll get called.
So, but then the employee decides, they either, sign up for the Verizon, the town of Bayfield's Verizon account, and we pay for their monthly fee, or we give them a $50 stipend, one or the other. They have that choice.
Very too.
Yeah. Public Works is
Well,
half and half.
I can't even handle one,
So,
okay? I have no trouble with my own, but I was just curious
But
because
not
I
everybody
noticed.
gets a cell phone stipend. Now Carrie, there was a
Well, yeah.
purpose, she uses her cell phone when she's not at the center very often. So I just don't know the whole
And, yeah,
circumstance.
don't say anything, because
Well, I will,
maybe I
because
missed.
it's my job to manage.
Well, maybe I missed something in the translation. It just kind of hit me that, are we using the cell phone?
But if I change a policy because of something that happened at the senior center, she needs to be accountable for what we're paying for.
Okay, well, don't talk to her until next week. Get to her first. And just say, sorry, I was just using you as an excuse, I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Or as an example.
Well, that's my job though.
I know, so, okay.
I'm just curious, I still don't quite understand. Okay, like my cell phone costs me $25 a month. So, and I'm gonna have a cell phone, whether I work for the town or anything else, I gotta have a cell phone, some kind of communication. So if I was an employee that needed one, like I was Carrie or something like that, you would just, even though my phone only costs $25 a month.
I don't wanna have anything to do with personal cell phone bills. If you would prefer that everybody only get an allowance, that's your call.
I'm just trying to figure out how it works, but they don't get a separate phone.
Yeah, I do.
You have a
Well,
separate.
I do that
Yeah,
for a
you do that.
reason.
She has allowance,
Yeah.
I have an allowance. I'm not gonna point over across the.
Well, no, I'm just trying to understand how it works.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
they gave us the choice when we started here. And I do this just because I work in a jurisdiction where a cell phone got subpoenaed,
No,
and I have a young child
And
with
all of yours
pictures.
can be subpoenaed.
And I have a young child with pictures, so I don't want my personal phone being subpoenaed, so everything I do with work is on one phone.
well, that's why I want to use the tablet. like, just keep all town business on that, and that's where it is.
But that's what I have chosen.
I was just curious how it worked.
But I'm willing to give it up.
Good.
Answers it for me?
So I would like to, this isn't part of my list, but I wanna do this real quick. When I first started getting involved with the town about 2 years ago, and then got involved with comp plan, I saw such a massive difference in the operations of the town before and now after. And it's been over 2 years that I've had the pleasure of working with you, working on the comp plan. And I think for our little town, I'm proud to say that I feel like all of you come with a wonderful boatload of experience, knowledge, commitment. And so just from my personal experience, I'd like to thank all of you for what you're doing, and even new people, because you're crushing it. So anyways, I just wanted to say that. And then at the top of my list was, I feel like we need to share a vision. So I love the idea of doing a mediator and creating a visionary board. Perfect. That was up there. Mine's just pretty quick down the line. I want to stay the course with the master park plan, whatever that means, even if it's a task force, however we do it, but this needs to be at the top of the radar on my opinion. Upgrading the town infrastructure, stormwater issues. I know that you're getting the feasibility, and then we'll work from there. But I know that this costs the town money until we get everything upgraded and improved. So it's like, cut off the bleed and let's just get it done. Affordable housing, developer incentives. I think we want to stay the course with that, and Nicole's been crushing it, trying to find money to have our developers give a percentage of their development to affordable housing. I want to stay the course on that. Very interested in the Prop 123. Prioritize smart growth. Just do it infrastructure. Let's fill in the infrastructure, or the infill as much as we can, infrastructure per se. And encourage smart water tools. And I feel like the lead with Katie's idea with the landscaping of how you can do that is excellent. Let's see what else. I would like to review our hazard mitigation system. Maybe you guys read it in the paper, but Durango just did a fire evacuation simulation for Bodo. And I just feel like there's areas like that we could be looking at. And I understand mitigation is prior, but this could be something that could be incorporated. I just want to make sure that we button that up, because climate change is affecting this country and the world all over, and people are rethinking how they're going to deal with entire flood towns just being decimated with flood or fires, which we have experienced. And so just have we done a fine tuning on hazard mitigation. And then I also like the idea of engaging the public more. So I feel like, how do we soften the feeling of government being a hammer and not being a tool for townspeople to utilize? So even if it's small things like creating special events, and I just came up with this off the top of my head, the Dog Days of Summer licensing, where we could do a reduced rate one day. And what happened is I had some loose dog challenges in my neighborhood, and the police officer that was recently hired that came to my home was the animal control officer for Durango for like 7 or 8 years. And she said one of the most difficult things, because I told her, I said, I apologize that I'm having you come and deal with the dog issue, because you shouldn't have to do this. But she said, no, that's our job. But her big thing was licensing dogs. If the dogs were licensed, they could get them back to their owners. And so how do we, do a win-win situation? This is just one little idea where we could save our townspeople money, get the dogs licensed, or more dogs licensed, to help our police officers be more efficient efficient in their job where they shouldn't have to be picking up people's dogs. Anyways, those are my ideas, I hope I cut to it.
We did that last year at the block party.
Yeah,
We did a dog licensing night, and
Awesome.
I gave little bags with dog treats and, little leashes and stuff that we gave to those, I think we only had like 4 or 5. But since we passed, since we passed the new ordinance, we've had quite a few more registered.
great.
That's something, we do look for, different things to do with the block parties.
Yeah.
Just to help community members and spread the word out, so I still have leashes and dog treats.
Sure.
Do it again.
Yeah, I was just trying to think, how do we do something good and positive, you know, and it benefits a department in the town, so.
Trustee McLaurin?
I think we've addressed a lot of the things that are on my list already. It's getting late. If anybody has any questions.
So one thing I've done in other communities is that we've had a night where, or a couple nights where we go to different parks and actually the board of trustees, they actually cooked hot dogs or whatever else, kind of before the food truck scene. I was thinking, it'd be great to have like an ice cream night up at Gosney Park, maybe ice cream park at the library, and kind of get the neighborhoods to come. And all 7 of you are there, and be more of a social hour to kind of hear what, the public is doing. We did that for Zip Code Day. We paid for lemonade and ice cream. It wasn't really all that expensive. But she brings her little cart, and it may be something that you just do that would get the families out to come. So anyway.
And we have the
I
dark
just
sky
really like
event.
that interaction between the community.
Dark sky event tomorrow.
Yes.
Come to that. And I just want to address one of yours, the agriculture. I just want to make sure everyone knows that we are, I sent out 290 letters this morning.
Yep.
I folded them all. All night. But for the agriculture zoning community meeting. So, that's one thing that's in our comp plan, is to look at an agriculture zone. I've had quite a few ag owners that are in the county ask to come into the county this year, introducing these businesses, ag businesses that they don't have in our community. So, May 16th, here, 6 p.m.
I'm looking forward
It's
to
really
that.
gonna
I saw
be
that.
a lot about, just more listening. I wanna hear what people wanna see out their property in the next 5, 10, 15 years. What are some of the things that they need to see in order for an ag zone to work for them? And really just hear from the community. So I'm hoping we get a good turnout. Everybody in our comp plan, that's not from town limits, 290 properties. Or 290 people. Some people own multiple properties, and so of course I was something like that. So it's more than that, but 290 properties.
Well, I'll go ahead and go. I included our 2024 goals in my list because they haven't really changed a whole lot, in the things that I wanted to see have happen. I know that, affordable housing is a huge thing for me, but in the same breath, water conservation is also super important. I think that when we, are planning this huge growth that we have that's available to us, that it's super important when we make sure that there's enough water and, that maybe we put into play, the requirement for, xeriscapes, versus lawns and, things like that as we're going forward in these things. On the affordable housing project, just request that happen. I don't know how we would go about doing that, but I think if we could combine those two. In the same breath, of course, the issues with the water and the flooding that we had as well as, top of the charts. We had lots of, citizens come in very upset. Town's not necessarily responsible for the majority of them, because we are responsible for the public, but, we can educate, we can tell them where areas are, having we help and do something for our citizens so that it doesn't happen again to them. I know there were some houses that it flooded before, so surprise, surprise, it flooded again. But, I mean, I know I personally experienced it in my house, I was farming damage, and they built a house, 2 houses down, and they changed the easement, they changed how that ditch was going, and it backed up in my house, and that was going, so it was crazy, what was going on. Now fortunately, my house is higher than, the field behind me, so it did actually drive into the field, so my house wasn't, but I got lucky. I mean, if it was somebody else, they may not have gotten it. So, I think it's a super, but I also wanted you guys to see that this was our goals for 2024, and so that everybody understands what direction they have been given already and why they're on the path that they're on, and that it was being and I don't know how it works, I mean, we're talking about things when I happen, but I think it might be hard to separate out of that this year because we've already budgeted to make sure we will go for the, we meet. What's that?
They're starting budget again.
It's not gonna be long. It's already May, my goodness. So that's pretty much, I have a.
Trustee Lambert,
I think we covered most of mine, we talked about the street priorities. Katie did a great job working with the local nonprofits, upcoming summer events I have there in block party. Fourth of July. Progress working with the school district, we're still ongoing with that. And then the stormwater we kind of talked about, so I'm good.
I think we went over all mine too. The only thing we really touch on was kind of what direction the board wants to kind of see Mill Street go. You know, as we're starting to have that group that I signed up for, and I kind of just wanted to hear a little bit.
Signed up too, and I'm not
And
sure.
I'd like to see a lot more traffic down there, so possibly more restaurants and shops and stuff, just to see if we can draw more traffic to it. But I'm not the only voice here, so.
I would like the same thing, I'd love to see like a little, not that I want tourists here, but something that brings people in. You know, ice cream shops and little stores that have little fun things in it that you can buy. Artistry type things. More butcher, yeah. Huh?
You like the smell of it?
I see the stone and just wanna see. I think we would not want to see it considered, but I think it needs to be I just now, if we had a really cool little,
south side.
She's been very easy to work with.
She has been. And then there's the lot right next to Tequila's. And then the one where the fire wall is in between the dog room and the firewall, that's really all that's on there, isn't it?
I think the question is, do we wanna see driveways and parking lots coming right off of the street? Or do we wanna maybe look at
Just
behind
off,
properties
you
and
want.
have storefronts
Yeah.
and then using
Yeah,
backs and
I
maybe
would
you
rather they
assemble
were back when
multiple
you can't see
properties
them.
That would be
versus
more
just one big.
like what I would like to see.
And then if you use less land, maybe double stack, like do a two-story parking or something at some point. When
That's
we have
pretty
money.
expensive.
Yeah, when you have money.
Usually like 5 times or 6
Right.
times the amount in the service space.
Mhm.
But I mean,
But it'd be nice not to use the old readers.
Well, to the same point, how much more growth, if you're not gonna go vertical, how much more growth can you do in Mill Street? Not
That's true.
much. That's all there is, so it kinda has to go vertical if you're gonna draw anybody that's gonna build
So
something.
the Columbine Ranger Station,
That's for sale.
it's not for sale.
No,
Keep in
for,
mind, it's federal land,
Yeah.
but they are already talking, they have Pole Ranch out on, US 160. Now, this is a 10-year plan, but
that's what we plan for.
that, yeah, that could be a potential
okay.
area for affordable housing and some other things. So, you know, I mean, I remember when I first was interning for the city of Grand Junction and Kathy Portner was a planner and she was gonna talk about all these trails and I was like, oh, yeah, right. Well, I took my kids down there and we would ride bikes and I was like, yeah, she did it. But you have to figure out how to plan it, not just hope it'll happen.
Or at least I sort of be so reactive.
I would also like to see, I mean, we're putting in, you know, more subdivisions and that sort of thing, and we're gonna have some commercial in there. What if you make those little commercial areas like a little hub? It's a little hub, it's got a restaurant, it's got a little shopping thing, it's got an ice cream shop, it's got, you know, some services that, you know, we might need as well. Antique store, you know, you just got this little tiny hub that, while they're right in that little area, they can get.
So I'm hearing a couple different things, but like, you know, downtown or commercial, to do things like that, you have to have some level of guidelines in place, otherwise you get what we get, which is, you know,
Whatever.
but then that
Yeah,
goes
that's
to
what
like,
you
does it make development harder? So, I mean, you really gotta figure out what balance you wanna take, because we create more requirements for things like that, we're adding more cost and to the development. But, you know, we want something a certain way, you have to create some level of standards to get there, because most of the time, you're not gonna get there, like Tractor Supply, you know, it's a metal building, doesn't face the road, it faces sideways. I would have loved to see something different, but I have nothing in the code that tells them they have to.
Well, then I think.
So I think those are some of the discussions I would like to hear for, as direction, as a
Downtown
vision.
Mill Street zoning, what that actually
Commercial,
looks
and
like.
what do you guys wanna see for the future?
Let's put it out on the side, that's a great job.
And how do we balance that with wanting to encourage that type of development? So there's gotta be a balance there.
So why did they put it sideways instead of,
They
is
had a lot
it
of
due to
wetlands,
parking?
Yeah,
they had
it's
wetlands
wetlands.
areas, so they had to
mitigate?
elongate it versus,
So then that was kind of the
well,
only way that I.
you could do different ways, cause I was like, they could have put the building facing the street and then the garden center in the back, but they wanted the visibility of both side by side. But there's things you can do if you have some level of guidelines, we just don't have anything. We have nothing. So again, those are the things I wanna hear, but there's always a balance there that you have to work with.
Because you're gonna attract more people if you have like, little hubs of places that they can go and, you know, go.
I think you really need to have a vision for it, so
Yeah.
to Cash's point, you know, it'd be great if you guys tried to rope in some, you know, members of the community to form a
Well,
task
we're gonna get members
force.
of the community,
Yeah.
but you're gonna get more, voices when you try to actually put a concept out there.
Well, for sure, but it's kind of like if you've ever, if you look at like a small town like Uray, which is bigger than us, they've done that, where they had a vision, and their master park plan is right in the middle of the town, and then the quaintness that belongs to Uray that they kind of created with a vision is what made it so successful. That's why people like to visit Uray. It's very great to visit, and there's great eateries, and it's small, you know, it's pretty small. I mean, not as small as our town, but it's still small. So I think it requires a bigger vision, because we also don't want to piecemeal it. If we're trying to create a personality for our town, what does that personality look like, and how is it represented?
Well, here's one idea, is we have 3 block parties. I think we're gonna do like public safety, maybe one with our waterways process, because we're doing a dark sky event tomorrow, we probably won't add that, but maybe it's some questions about downtown. But maybe we do that at the August one, and, you know, we come up, your downtown group comes up with like some things you'd like to ask the community and get some thoughts from them, just at least things starting to come out of that meeting. So,
I'd
or
like
the
to go down here.
block. Just a thought there.
Oh, you should have asked me to put mine.
It's
already down, but.
Well, you got sneaky, because I didn't see you go down.
So, okay.
So there was 2 more things left, the Board of Trustees vision, priority, and strategic planning work
I
session.
sent, Amber Blake a request if she'll send a proposal, I may not get it by Tuesday, but,
Okay.
something for you to consider if you'd like to be visioning. All I can say is, I mean, I've known Amber from the city of Durango, and, you know, I was a little leery of this, but, she's been great, to really get us on the same page, rolling the right direction, that I'm just really excited about. So, we'll see what happens. If you're not happy with that, we'll go out for another request for proposal.
And
Now, keep in mind that we had one proposal, it was $104,000.
then the CML board and commissions regarding public meetings and public.
Please take a look at this book.